were never supposed to slow down. That is the lie you were handed before you could even question it. If you were born between 1946 and 1964, you belonged to a generation that was told hard work would fix everything, that loyalty would be rewarded, and that keeping your head down was the same thing as being strong. And now, after decades of doing exactly that, you are tired in a way that sleep cannot fix. You are not lazy. You are not outdated. You are carrying the weight of a world that changed its rules without telling you. Your story starts in the aftermath of war. Your parents survived something enormous. They came home, built families, moved to new neighborhoods, and tried to create the stability they never had. And you were born into that promise. The world was rebuilding. There was hope in the air. Factories were running, schools were full. The message was clear. Work hard, stay loyal, follow the path. You will be taken care of. But underneath that shiny surface, something else was happening. Your parents carried invisible wounds. They did not talk about their feelings because no one taught them how. Dinner tables were quiet in certain ways. Emotions were something you pushed down. You learned early that being tough meant being silent, that crying was weakness, that asking for help meant you had failed. You grew up in a world that valued obedience over curiosity. You were taught to respect authority without questioning it. You sat in rows at school. You followed instructions. And when the world outside your window started changing with protests and music and rebellion, you were caught between two forces, the old world your parents built and the new world that was arriving uninvited. Some of you leaned into the change. Some of you held on to what was familiar. But all of you felt the tension. That tension never fully went away. The deal was simple. You work for one company. You give them your best years. They give you a pension and a retirement you can count on. You buy a house, you raise a family, you save a little each month. And at the end, you sit on your porch and breathe. That was the deal. And for a while, it looked like it would hold. But it did not hold. Companies started cutting. Layoffs came without warning. Pensions disappeared. The economy shifted in ways nobody prepared you for. Some of you lost jobs in your 50s, at the exact age when starting over feels impossible. Some of you watched your savings shrink overnight. The house you bought as a symbol of stability became a source of stress when the market crashed. And it was not just the economy. The cultural promises broke too. Marriages that were supposed to last forever ended. Communities that were supposed to stay close scattered. The institutions you trusted, the government, the church, the workplace, they all revealed cracks. You were not warned about this. Nobody sat you down and said, the rules are going to change halfway through your life. You played by the rules, and the game still shifted beneath your feet. That is not your failure. That is a broken contract. Now your body holds the record of every promise that was broken. Decades of pushing through, of staying strong, of never taking a day for yourself. That does not just disappear. It lives in your shoulders. It sits in your lower back. It shows up as sleepless nights where your mind will not stop running through the same worries. Your chest tightens when you think about money. Your jaw clenches when you feel dismissed or ignored. This is not weakness. This is what happens when your nervous system has been on alert for years. Your body learned a long time ago that rest was not safe, that letting your guard down meant something could fall apart. So it kept you in a state of readiness, always scanning, always preparing for the next crisis. And even now, even when the immediate danger has passed, your body does not know how to stop. You might feel anxious and not even know why. You might feel a low hum of dread that follows you through the day. That is not a character flaw. That is your system doing what it was trained to do. It is exhausting, and you deserve to know that it is not your fault. And then the digital world arrived. It came fast. One day you were reading newspapers and writing checks. The next day, everything moved to screens. Social media was not built with you in mind. It was built for speed, for youth, for constant newness. And suddenly there was a world where everyone seemed to have an opinion about your generation. You started seeing articles and videos calling you out of touch, calling you the problem, dismissing everything you built. That stings more than people realize. You watch younger generations move through technology like water, and you feel something heavy in your chest. Not jealousy, something closer to invisibility. The world is moving, and it feels like it is moving away from you. You compare yourself to people who grew up with these tools, and you wonder if you have been left behind. Some of you learned to adapt. You got on social media. You learned the apps. But even then, the algorithms reward youth, speed, and outrage. Not wisdom, not patience, not the kind of knowing that only comes from living long enough to see patterns repeat. The modern world measures value in clicks and followers, and that measurement has nothing to do with the kind of value you carry. So, who are you now? For decades, your identity was tied to what you did, your job title, your role as a provider, your position in the family. You were the one who showed up, the one who made it work. And now, as careers wind down and children leave and the world moves faster than you expected, there is a quiet crisis happening inside you. If you are not the worker, the fixer, the strong one, then who are you? This is one of the deepest questions a human being can face, and your generation was never given the tools to answer it. You were taught to do, not to be. You were trained to produce, not to reflect. So when the doing slows down, it can feel like disappearing, like losing your place in a story that used to make sense. That emptiness is not a sign that your life is over. It is a sign that a new chapter is asking to be written. But nobody told you that. And sitting with that silence feels unbearable when you were never taught how to sit still. The patterns you carried did not start with you. Your parents loved you the best way they knew how, but many of them loved from a distance. Affection was shown through provision, not words. Approval was earned, not freely given. And without realizing it, you may have carried those same patterns into your own family. Maybe you struggled to say, "I love you" out loud. Maybe you showed up every single day but had trouble being emotionally present. Maybe your children grew up feeling provided for but not fully known. This is not an accusation. This is the quiet inheritance of emotional silence. It passes from one generation to the next like an invisible thread. And now, some of you are watching your relationships with your adult children strain under the weight of things that were never said. You want to be close, but something keeps getting in the way. That something is not a lack of love, it is a lack of language. You were never given the vocabulary for emotional closeness, and learning it now in your 60s or 70s feels vulnerable in a way that goes against everything you were taught. You have been running for decades, not because you wanted to, because stopping never felt like an option. There was always a bill to pay, a family to feed, a crisis to manage. You wore your exhaustion like a badge. You pushed through migraines, through grief, through fear, because that is what you were taught strength looks like. But the tank is empty now, and the tiredness you feel is not just physical, it is emotional, it is spiritual. It is the kind of deep fatigue that comes from a lifetime of putting yourself last. You gave and gave and gave, and somewhere along the way, you forgot that you were also allowed to receive. The burnout you feel is not a sign of weakness. It is the natural result of a system that took everything and rarely gave back. Your body is not betraying you. It is finally asking you to listen. So here is what I need you to hear. You are not irrelevant. You are not a relic of some forgotten era. The world may be loud and fast and obsessed with the new, but that does not erase what you have lived. Your scars are not shame. They are proof that you survived things that would have broken most people. You held families together. You showed up when it mattered. You built things with your hands and your heart that still stand today. And now, for maybe the first time in your life, you are allowed to stop. You are allowed to rest without earning it. You are allowed to feel without explaining it. You are allowed to ask for help without seeing it as failure. You are not behind. You are right where you need to be. And the world still needs what you carry. Not your productivity, your presence, your depth, your knowing. You matter, not for what you do, for who you are. If this felt like someone was finally saying what you needed to hear, I want you to leave a comment below. Tell me one thing you wish someone had told you sooner. Your words might be the exact thing someone else needs to read tonight. If this video helped you, share it with someone from your generation who might be carrying this same weight alone. Subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications so we can keep having these conversations. You showed up today. That matters more than you know.